Proud of
Uh,
myself.
Coming from behind from where we were just at.
Yeah.
But we'll move forward. How am I managing that from over here?
Jules,
Okay.
use pants.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna do my best because I think Hannah's leaving me. You know, I'm not the most technologically, not the greatest PowerPoint guy, but all right. Well, happy January 28th. Again, I hope some of us are keeping our resolutions. Some of mine I put on the door of my office. If you haven't seen it, I am doing a 66-day challenge right now. And all I put up there was my what do you call it? My physical or my health challenge, which is one to stay on my keto diet. That means to stay 25 total net grams of carbs and sugars per day, to stay on my intermittent fast of 16 hours from when I eat last to when I eat in the morning, and to exercise at minimum 15 minutes every day. So I'm on day 6, and then I decided Sunday night, before Sunday night, I decided I was gonna do a 3-day fast. So I'm on day 2 of my 3-day fast, and my hungriest time is right now. Right at this time is when I'm hungriest. So tomorrow by I think 7 p.m. I'm done with the 3-day fast. But I have a 60. If anybody wants a copy of the 66-day challenge for whatever you want that thing to be, I'm more than happy to give you a copy. Mine is on my door. It is part of my accountability. I'm just gonna put it up there. And I know there are days coming, like family reunion, that I've got to figure that out somehow. But that is my accountability on my door, and I put it out there for all of you to see. And I put a Facebook video out on my accountability plus my 3-day fast, which I'm working on. I'm a little lightheaded right now, by the way. All right, so that's where I'm at. I am going to move through some of this. As we know, our mission is always to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. Hey, you know what? Before I move forward, I want to know who's on Zoom. Can you say hello? Can we hear
Hello.
your name?
Hello.
Who's that?
Yeah, that's Jordis. You got Daniel on the call, Mary, and Joseph.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. So we know that our values are God, family, and then business. So our Y4C2Ts, I will share that what I witnessed today was part of our Y4C2Ts. I actually witnessed it on Friday. For me, this was my experience between our last team meeting. I mean, there have been several, but my 2 that stand out right now is because I just came from a broker's open. I was not an agent from Keller Williams, by the way. And I asked several to come, and several of you showed up. And thank you for doing that. That is supporting, we support each other, which we did on Friday by going to 4 of our own open houses and then visiting one other agent, non-KW agent's open house, as well as what we did today in the Brokers Open. I love that. I hope we continue to do more of that as a group. I think that it gives us the opportunity for people who haven't experienced those type of properties. And it also gives support to those agents. As we know, our sellers are always asking us what's going on, what's the activity. So just us walking through and seeing properties. I would also say, always think about who do you have, who's your friend and family, who do you know that might be interested, or your customer that might be interested in that property. And send them a video. Say, you know what? And every time we go out to these, agents have opportunities because the other agents would always say yes. To say, hey, I was just thinking about you. I was at this property, reminded me of what you're looking at. Just wanted to send you a quick video. Great opportunity to do stuff like that. Hey, Carly.
Hey, Carly.
Hold on, I gotta take a count of how many of us are here. I won. Had a bet on how many of us would show up. I beat Hannah and Jordis, by the way.
She got 3 or 4 on Zoom.
So, yes, I know, I definitely won. So besides that, I want to say, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about as far as Y4C2Ts or anything they've experienced since our last team meeting to today that they would like to share? any type of win or anything like that? Carly, you look like you want to say something. Oh, no?
I mean, I can come up with something.
No, I want you to, if you have something, we'd love to
I'll
hear it.
always say something.
Okay, Doreen has something in the back. Hey, Carly today. Hi.
So, all of you know that I haven't been here and, yes, I'm going to, and yes, I'm married. But
We are so happy to see you back in the
Thank you.
office, Doreen.
but throughout the last 15 days of going through hell and high water, I have had so many people reach out and stop at the house and say hello and bring me Tylenol and things of that nature. And I'm just really appreciative of our culture, who we are, and thank you, everybody.
Yes, I learned that Doreen's comfort food is chicken pot pie and
Anything
peanut
fat
butter
is
and
good.
chocolate explosion.
That's great.
It showed up somewhere else today. Go ahead, Debbie.
So it's not from the last team meeting, but I just have to share that with KW's culture, is that my business has definitely gone to a great place.
That's awesome. Love that story. For those of us who showed up at the MLK parade, that's another example of our culture. We had a very nice time out there, supporting our community. And so with that said, I want to say that we do want to do something for St. Patty's Day, right? And we maybe like to walk for St. Patty's Day. We still have to get that together. We still have enough time.
The board has a parade.
Yeah.
You can walk it with NABOR during the walk actually in the parade.
Yeah.
How do
Let's do our
Yeah,
own.
we did
Let's do our own,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
No, you can't walk in the parade
Why
yeah,
not?
we can.
by
that. I think
yourself.
it's okay.
No, as a group, we can. There's a
We just
fee. We're
sign
gonna
up
look
to
up
do
the
it,
forms
right?
and, yeah. Either way, if we
Okay, well,
can't,
I know
do
the
it, they
board
won't,
does
but if
it,
we
but I
can,
don't know that you can just.
it is pretty
sign up
cool.
and
to-
walk.
Yeah. Well, what we
Let's
did
look
was
into it.
we did have our KW Care sign up and our Keller Williams flag. We were holding while we were there, but honestly, it wasn't about that. It was about us being there as a group. We were a small group, but I think it was, I don't know, it was a great time just to be together and do something outside of, just real estate, right? So, I hope and I look forward to us doing much more, of things like that. So, success stories. I will pause and say, does anybody want to share on Zoom or in the office success stories that have happened? Every time I look at you, you want to say something.
I have a little condo that I've been trying to sell since September that's finally under.
Rain sale?
Yeah.
Came to see it on the weekend?
No,
Okay,
but same day. It
Oh,
was the
cool.
11:30 appointment.
congratulations.
I know.
I know, thank you, that is
That
awesome.
that was a tough one.
Yes, anybody else, anybody have any new listings they'd like to talk about? Or anything like that? I would open that up to that too, as well.
So
Yes, Debbie.
we have a new listing coming up in Royal Business in Crown Point for $419.9 excellent price coming on February 1st.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, Bill.
I didn't tell you over the weekend, it's definitely it was busy. I wrote an offer, took 3 offers, only 2 of them actually worked out. But still, it was a busier weekend. People actually, it was all lower level stuff or lower price point, but people were doing stuff. There was activity. So open houses were good. I know it's probably a later subject.
No.
And then I have a listing down on 3 Kings Road, which is a villa just past Bayshore, right off south of 41. Totally redone inside, super cute inside. We are the lowest priced by $49,000. So
Wow. Awesome. Anybody else want to-
at $399.
Am I gonna talk about what, open houses?
Yeah.
Yes.
And, okay.
I'm gonna share my success story in 3 days of open houses. These were the leads that we got. That is 9 leads in 3 open houses. So I ask you guys, what lead source are you using that gets you 9 potential buyers and sellers? Does anybody have another lead source that can get you this? This is 9 interested individuals that walk through in 3 open houses, right? This is the success story that's happening nowadays. I crossed out just in case anybody wants to. Not that anybody would do that. But, I mean, this is the story that's happening now, right? And either we're in it and winning like this, or we're not, and we're not in real estate probably, because we're not doing these things. Right, so we don't have leads, and if you're looking for buyers and sellers, open houses is where it's at, it's back, they're stronger than they've been in quite some time. This is a perfect example, there are no made-up names there, there's only one agent, Coco came by. But other than that, there are 9 there in 3 open houses. See, sometimes this was one separate one, only one came. But this one, only one, I think there was another one here that's missing. But then all the rest were up there, so, I mean, you never know, and it only takes one. Right, and I wanna, Doreen, you wanna say something?
Are you gonna talk about Yasmina's?
I'm hoping Yasmina is on the call.
She's not. So that's why I want.
Okay,
They'll be
so,
on.
sorry?
They'll be on. They have sent me an email that they'll be on, and there's a
Okay.
slide for that.
Okay, yeah, well, I was hoping that she would be on in time to talk about it. There's a slide for that, you said?
She might have-
I'm assuming, was it for the sip and paint or open house?
No, open houses. I
Oh,
want to
sorry.
tell the story of Yasmina. Last time I told the story of my open house where we went and over the house, one person showed that became a seller. We now have it listed. And we're having the brokers open there this Thursday at 5 p.m. Sunset for those who want to go. Esplanade by the Islands. That was my story last week. This week, Yasmina had a story. And I asked her first because I want to tell it the way I understand it. That a conversation with yesterday, make sure that I tell it the right way. An open house on one of Doreen's listings, correct?
Yes.
Doreen called her and said,
We got
seller
an
has accepted an
right.
offer, right? And this is the part you didn't know, but I asked Yasmina to make sure. Yasmina was like, oh, well, what's the point of me staying here for the open house? Should I stay? Right? So that was the misunderstanding or misunderstanding of what open houses are for, right? The chances that somebody walks in and says, I'm gonna buy this place, will you help me buy it? Are, I think it's 4%, the last report that I saw on that, right? It's really about what I just showed you. It's about meeting buyers and sellers. And maybe you help them with that house, but maybe you help them with other properties in the area, right? That's what it's about. So she had that little misunderstanding, which quickly the correct thought showed up in front of her right away, because she then was, and she said Yasmina is a big social media person, so she stepped outside because she was trying to find Wi-Fi, and she said the neighbor across the street was like, hey, are you guys having an open house? Is that the home you have listed? And she said, yes, we're having an open house. So the seller came over and spoke to her. She then went over after the open house across the street to the seller. And the seller said, I want to sell, we're moving to Italy. Next day, she had a new listing. This was not her listing that she was sitting at open house at. Next day, she had a listing. She put it on the market and immediately she got 2 offers. Just 2 verbal offers. So then she had an open house this Sunday, met a buyer there. By the end of the day, she was showing that buyer around to other properties. And yesterday, we were leaving at the same time, 5 o'clock, because she was going to show that buyer more properties, right? I mean, that's real estate.
She's in
That's-
production. She is going to cap. She is going to do
Just
great
started.
things.
Right? And that's real estate. And so we have to decide, what is it, right? Well, I don't like making calls, so I'm not gonna make all the calls. I like being in front of people. Okay, then open houses, events. Or what is it? But it's real estate, and decide what it is and do it. And open houses are easy. They're plentiful. We have a lot of open houses here. Unfortunately, Doreen is possibly giving an open house to an agent that's not part of Keller Williams this weekend,
I am.
because
They called and
just
said,
ask somebody
can
to
I do
cover
an
it.
open house? And I
And-
said, yes.
And if they get a listing or buyer there, that'd really be. Yes,
No, I'll cover anybody for open house.
Okay, good. Come see
all right, so be there, show up to them and do them. I'm telling you, that's where our wins will continue to be. So listings for January, congratulations.
Hey, Eugene,
Yes, Jordan.
if I may just say something here, speaking of open houses, so Wendy McCarty, those that don't know her, she's one of the top agents on Marco Island. They have a listing. I'm gonna say the address real slow here. First come, first serve. Text me, I'll get you her contact information. And you know what? If Hannah, if you can just put the chat box up real quick, I'll give you guys her direct line because you said you guys can reach out to her. It's gonna be first come, first serve. Hopefully you guys fight over it. So in the chat box is her phone number. Wendy McCarty is her name. She's got a listing 4075 First Avenue Southwest, Golden Gate Estates. That is vacant and available for open houses. It's listed at 1.9 as a guest house, huge home. So she's looking for people to host open houses there.
We all are looking for people to host open.
Yes,
Yeah.
lots of Naples agents looking too. Joseph, I see you're on there. I want to say, great job too, by the way. I know you just started and you've been doing open houses and you're posting great videos on them, so keep up the good work. I know it's slow, but it'll happen. Just saw you because we just changed it to Zoom, so I saw your face. I wanted to say that. Okay. Can we go back one because I think I went ahead.
There you go.
That's a great win right there, right? So, can you are you able to sit there? Oh, you
I
can't?
just
No,
bring- I
she's
can
not
just-
feeling well, so, okay.
Yeah, you-
All right, so, listen, there's a lot of agents here who have new listings, so I wanna congratulate all of you. I won't say all your names, but congratulations to all of you on your new listings, great job. These are all wins that we have to celebrate together. These are people who probably also need open houses as we look at them, because we can't cover all of our open houses, all of our listings, right? So there's great opportunities in there. These are, can we go to the next one, please? Thank you. These are the contracts written for the month of January. So congratulations to all of you. Yeah, so get to see if I see anybody that's here, but congratulations, folks. You can move on. All right, so this is a great story. I don't know if you guys saw that we posted this. And here is a great post that you could be using and information that you can be using when you're talking to anybody, right? This is where we're at. So this was the year of 2024. We were ranked 6 as a total for Southwest Florida, Keller Williams in Southwest Florida, right? So these are all of our offices together. We ranked number 6 at one. There's a lot of numbers for me to say. I'm gonna try it. 1,432,594,000. That's billion. Okay. And then total units, 3,081, ranked 3rd in total units. So congratulations. Yes, ma'am.
Most of that, we have less agents than the bigger ones that were ahead of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, so that speaks.
It does. It actually created a lot of questions to me. People saying, well, what's our rank? What's this? And then what about the bigger brokerages? I'm thinking, you realize how few agents there are between Fort Myers, Bonita, Naples, and Marco compared to some of the other ones we know of that have literally thousands of agents.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
There's a couple thousand agents in there, Bill. You add all the Keller Williams in
what-
Southwest
Southwest
Florida.
Florida.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
what is that? No, it's a couple
Myers.
thousand.
We've got Fort Myers
and-
is what, 300? We've got 200. Marco's got 100.
120.
There's, you've got 5 or 6 Keller Williams. You've got Benita, you've got here, you've got Marco, you've got,
I don't think you touch 1,000, do you?
I think it's maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
about
it's
a
more than-
thousand
I think
right
it's
there.
more than- I'll get you the number. It's
Yeah,
more
Doris,
than-
get on
more
those
than-
numbers, will you?
Yeah.
That includes,
Yeah.
Punta Gorda, includes all the Keller Williams
Oh,
offices
maybe just
that are in the, Southwest Florida.
in this section.
So you're bursting the bubble?
Pardon?
No,
No.
no, we're still number 6, so that's a great number. And thank you, Brooke and Jeff, 'cause I know you were working on getting us these numbers, so thank you for that. Can we move on to the next topic? Okay, sip and paint party. Do we have anybody from the Vibe and Thrive Growth Committee on?
Here.
Hi.
Hi.
We're here.
Hi, well, Yasmina, I was just telling you a story about your open house. You missed it.
Oh.
Congratulations again on that. So, okay, tell us about Sip and Paint Party.
You want to start, Melissa? Or you want me to start? You guys hear me?
Sip it.
We can hear you. It's just you right now.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. So Wednesday, the 12th, we will be having our first Vibe and Thrive with the Growth Committee event, and it's wine and paint party. We are being sponsored by Venture Title and Florida New Roof. So thank you guys. And then it's a mobile paint and party vendor. So they're coming and we're gonna get to paint on canvas. You could bring a significant other or a friend. It's $15 per artist. And if you bring a non-Keller Williams agent, you and your guests will be free.
Yes. And also, we plan to have some prizes. We'll be having raffles. So we'll be raffling a gift card to some of Naples' hottest restaurants. That's perfect for Valentine's Day. So if you attend, you'll also be able to participate in the raffle.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? This is how you can register right here. If you want to just take a, screenshot or whatever, or a picture of it, or register now, it's only $15 because we have our vendors helping us with it. Which I know that Marco is doing it, they're paying $35 each because they don't have vendors.
You can text
Great.
me, my phone number's on the flyer, so if the easiest thing is to text me. Okay. And, I'll hook you up.
I think we have 40 seats, is that right? Am I right in saying that, or is it?
No, I think it's a little bit less.
Yes, we landed yesterday with 36.
36.
So-
Yep.
We got free stuff, bring more in.
Okay, 36, I'm sure we can squeeze it if we need to. Now, that's gonna be a fun event, for those of you who can make it, I know I'll be there, I already got my tickets. So thank you, really, the growth committee and, you guys, Yasmin and Melissa, for really putting this together and being so,
We have 3 events before season ends. So there's another one coming up that's going to be really exciting in March as well. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome, look forward to it. Thank you, great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our calendar, okay, so these are things that we have coming up immediately. The February calendar's already out, but just to talk about what we have going on immediately today. Actually, that Brokers Open that we were in, the agent there was great talking about some of the recent right? Yeah, don't do that again. So, some of the recent changes, with the condos, which was great, which led right into the conversation with those that were there about our class on the new neighborhood contracts and condo addendum that Broker Jeff had yesterday, having again today. Am I correct in saying that? At 5 o'clock, right? And it's also been recorded, right? And available.
We recorded the one yesterday.
We recorded yesterday, and where can they see it? On YouTube?
It'll be up. I'll have it up.
It'll be on YouTube, okay?
Yes.
But
the
today,
live is always better. So I'm gonna wait a couple days. I want you guys to go to Jeff and see him live.
the
If
problem
there's any
with the-
questions.
we don't get questions, right? The Q&A is not there, so it does take some steam away from it, and it's better if you're live at it. I mean, we were literally in a building with beautiful condos that are available, and if you have a buyer and seller, let's say a buyer at this, in this example, and you're gonna be last minute trying to figure out how to make that happen when you can sit through these classes, and be the expert rather than, control your controllables, right? Some things are uncontrollable, but showing up and listening and learning is a controllable that we have, so that when we're in front of people, we're the experts and we're not practicing on them, right? And that's really why we have all these classes that we have. Immediately after this, at 1:30, from 1:30 to 2:30, we have Gary Keller Top 100 pre-qualifying and price reduction conversations with our own OP, Amber Rutherford. We can stay right here and listen to that, because price reductions are conversations that a lot of us are needing to have. So some of you may be able to take something out of this and run right away to your sellers and repeat it. But I think it's, you gotta practice, and here's something you might get out of this, to talk to your sellers about price reduction. Tomorrow at 1:29 PM at 1:29 PM, there's no such thing. I'm glad you caught it. At 2 PM, from 2 to 3 PM, we have the Luxury Committee hosting Luxury New Construction Review from the Luxury Pro Series. Mark, do you want to share anything about that?
Well, we're at the time of the year when we have a lot of buyers here, some coming for the first time, and they're gonna ask you, what about new construction? And particularly, what about new luxury construction? And so that's part of what we're gonna be talking about, not only features in the homes, but who is building and where they're located. So that you'll be able to speak intelligently with your clients.
It's much better than being like a hummer when they're asking you. This is why we have these things here, right? Make us the experts. So that'll be tomorrow. It's an hour and a half. It's worth your time. It's also gonna be on Zoom, right? Or is it just, right? It's on Zoom as well. If you can't show up here, it'll be on Zoom, okay? However, showing up is always better. Okay, on to the next one. Oh, okay. That is my face.
Look, there you are.
And I know we have to change that somehow. What I wanted to talk with you guys about very quickly, and it kind of leads into, does anybody have a copy of this? Okay, so it actually was a conversation I had yesterday with some of our agents, and I wanted to have a conversation with everyone who wasn't there, because we are at an interesting time where we have a lot of properties sitting on the market, right? And I think right now about 54% of our properties have been on the market for 80 days or more, and the average right now is at 84 or 86. I think it's 84, right?
Yeah, so it's around, it's mid-80s.
Yeah, I think it's 84, right? And so there is this book called Shift, right? And it's a book, it's a Keller Williams book, and it talks about the shifting markets, right? And what agents should be doing in shifting markets. Chapter 7 covers tactic 7, and it is about pricing. And it's interesting because we have a class coming on right after this about conversations around price reductions. And yet this is about having conversations with sellers about pricing right to go on the market. And so, can you go to the next one, please? I'd love for us to get off. Okay, thank you. So this was as of this morning, right? Look at this. If we look at this, and this you can take right off of Nabor, and where's that at? The
InfoSpark.
InfoSparks, thank you. So this is InfoSparks, right? I just took it right off of here this morning, and I'm looking at, this is 8.7 days, 8.7 months, right, of inventory, right? So somewhere around here, we were at 6 months, and that is what you call a balanced market, right? And then we were at a buyer's market before 6 months, and clearly in a seller's market, and clearly we're now in a buyer's market, right? And so it's trending up. And when we get together and talk in groups, and when we listen, we don't know. The pattern is that it's trending up. And so these are the conversations that we need to be having with our sellers. If you listen to or read Tactic 7, I listened to it, it's absolutely great. It talks about how there's 3 markets, right? There's the buyer's market, there's the seller's market, and there's a balanced market, right? No one ever talks about balanced market, because balanced market, it's a transitional moment, it's fleeting, it goes by very fast. You can't even, it was somewhere here, right? but everything is either buyer's market or seller's market. And in I keep doing that, I'm so sorry, seller's market or buyer's market. And in the seller's market, right, it's like the buyers want to live in the past and the sellers want to live in the future, right? It's such an easier conversation when you're dealing with sellers, and buyers see it as, I see an opportunity now as well, because it's going to keep going up, right? And guys, I have to stop and say a lot of this is mindset. And the first mindset is ours, right? Is our mindset, because this conversation, it can be challenging to have with the seller. So a lot of times you don't have the conversation and we just go for whatever they say as the listing price without actually having the conversation and having the right skill sets to have that conversation. And so, and having the data to show them, right? Because here's what Tactic 7 says. If you're either behind the market, at the market, or ahead of the market. And if you are at the market, you are still behind the market, right? Because you will be chasing the market, right? So a seller, as an example, you're in a community and there's a couple of listings there at 500,000. So you list at $499.99, $1 less than everybody else is at 500, right? You are chasing the market. You are not ahead of the market when you do that, okay? And so instead of having the conversation with them, like, we have competitors, right? The active ones are our competitors, and our job is to take them out of business, right? And the way we do that is by listing ahead of the market. We have to look at where it's going to be 30 days from now, not right now, right? And there's ways to look at the trends, right? If 30 days ago we see that the homes are listing and selling for 5% undervalued, a lot of times what I hear is like, oh, here's the average is selling, at 5% under the listing price. So it sold at 610. So let's just sit at 610. Well, should we be listing it at under 5% of 610? Because that's where it'll be at in 30 days. So we're not getting ahead of the market with them. We're actually behind the market. Okay. And then we live the lives of the conversations. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I want more open houses. Why aren't we selling? And listen, sometimes we take a listing at what it's at, and you have to make that decision, right? For your business, if it's right to take a listing that maybe is a little over, right? But you at least have to have the conversation, right? And give your seller, your buyers, your sellers, your customers, right? You need to be the professional for them. And if at least you have that conversation, you're at least doing that, right? But if you're not having the conversation because you're scared that someone else is going to get it, well, that's probably not your seller anyway, to be quite honest, right? But have the conversation and then figure out what's best for your business and for your seller at that point, right? I was just with an agent who was telling me that she wouldn't take, it was multi-million dollars, $1 million overpriced. She wouldn't take it. She said, I'd rather be your JV. And you come back to me later when you don't get it sold, right? But the story in this Tactic 17, you guys should really listen to it. The example was an actual agent had his home, it was way back, right? Had a condo that said at 190,000, immediately got an offer at 180,000. He's an agent, did not take the offer, right? Typically the conversation is the first offer is your best offer. And that oftentimes when you don't take the offer, the seller's actually buying it back at that offer. They're actually buying it back and now saying, I'm going to try to sell it for more, right? So at 195,000, he listed it, got an offer at 180,000 and would not take it. Then he chased the market for 1 year and 1 year sold it for 170,000.
Wow.
Right? So, and it was a condo. So the fees, and sold it for 107. And he knew better. He's an agent. He said, I knew better. It's in this book. I knew better and I still did that and I didn't feel smart about it. Yes, sir.
The December market graphics were sent to you on January 16th, including the 15-month trend charts for all of this information. Did everybody get it?
Yeah.
Yes?
I couldn't find it. That's why I waited here.
Oh,
Well,
you
you
didn't
weren't
check your
looking
email?
for it.
I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so So there is an actual, I want to share with you guys real quick, because I want to say too long because Jordis is watching me right now. So I want to share with you guys very quickly. This is a 5-minute audio that I want you guys to listen to. Some of you heard it already, and if you've read it or heard it, then you know it already too. But I want to give you an example of the type of conversations that you could be having with your sellers, and I figured that what better way than to just share from here, okay?
In a recent interview with a top agent in Massachusetts, I asked how things were going in his local area. Our market is really a tale of two markets, he said. 80% of the homes are overpriced and 20% are well-priced. The well-priced properties are getting multiple offers. The overpriced properties are getting none. I immediately realized that in every market, in every time, there are two markets. One where properties are priced to sell and another where properties are priced to sit. A seller is either in the market or out of it. And unlike a seller's market, where time on the market can pull overpriced homes back into the market after a downshift, every day just pushes overpriced homes farther and farther out of the market. Based on this critical understanding, we recommend you use a specialized dialogue when working with sellers. Before we get into the actual dialogue, we want to point out that we've created additional tools, figures 35 through 38, that you will want to use in your presentation with sellers. All of these can be found at giftofshift.com, both as graphic files and as PowerPoint slides with the accompanying dialogue. These graphs illustrate that based on how well or how poorly a property is priced and how good or poor the condition is compared to the competition, the property is consequently either in the market or out of the market from a buyer's perspective. So only those houses that are in good condition and priced well compared to the competition are actually in the market and therefore attracting attention from buyers. A dialogue with a seller might go like this. Keep in mind that all the graphs and figures referenced can be found at giftofshift.com. Let's begin.
Mr. and Mrs. Seller, just because a house is on the market doesn't mean it's in the market. In every market, there are actually two markets. There are properties that are priced well enough and in good enough condition to attract interested buyers. Those homes attract offers and sell. Then there are homes that are overpriced or are in less than ideal condition that don't attract buyers and just sit on the market. So if you look at this graph, figure 35, you can see that some houses are in the market and some are out of the market. Does that make sense?
Sure, I've seen the same thing on eBay. People who auction good stuff with a fair reserve price attract a lot of bidding. Others try to pawn something off with an unrealistic reserve and they don't get any bids at all.
Great, that's the point. Buyers have a sense of what's a fair value and what's not, and they just won't show up if you're not in the ballpark. Now, when we were in a seller's market, we saw a lot of multiple offers, and it wasn't so much whether a home would sell. It was a question of how long it would take and how much it would sell for. As you can see in this graph, figure 36, almost all the homes were in the market.
I understand, but what does that mean to me today?
Well, in a buyer's market like we're in today, show figure 37, many homes aren't really in the market at all. There is a lot of inventory, but there aren't as many buyers. The buyers who are looking expect a great value, a good home at a good price. And with all the competition for their attention, they have a lot of choices. They start to be really picky.
I guess that's why it's called a buyer's market, right?
Yes, that's why it's very important for us to get your home in the best condition possible, and then to price it correctly and competitively. Buyers are looking for value pricing, and if we don't meet those expectations, we'll look overpriced and be overlooked. Figure 38 illustrates that the market of homes that are actually selling is small and competitive. And if we don't get in the market, we risk ending up out of the market with no showings and no offers, or worse, in no man's land, where we get enough interest to think we might be in the market, but no offers. We need to price ahead of the market. Let's make the market instead of chasing it. As your agent, I can't change the market conditions, but it is my job to show you how to get your house sold in the existing market conditions.
I'm pretty sure I get it. It just makes me wish we'd decided to sell earlier.
The truth is that this actually may be a good time to sell, and even a solid financial opportunity for your family. Yes, we may not be able to price the home as high as we could have last year, but if you don't sell now, you'll be selling for even less next year.
So how do we do that?
I've prepared some research on the prices of other homes available in this area and neighborhoods like it, as well as some numbers that reflect what is and isn't selling. Or to put it another way, what is and isn't in the market. I previewed a lot of those homes, and we can decide together how best to price your house to sell.
The tale of two markets is a simple, proven way to engage your sellers in the realities of effective pricing and staging, discussed in tactic number 8, stand out from the competition.
Okay. If you look at the first graph, I mean, this was 2008, which is not so different to today. But it showed there that the prices, the listings that prices were reduced were on the market for an average of 116 days. That is pretty close to where we're at nowadays. And the ones that were never received a price decrease were on for 40 days. So very, very similar to where we're at today. All right. So okay, that's it. I think I'm off my soapbox. Hannah, can you go to the next part? Okay. Anybody have any questions for me or want to comment or say anything there? Dixie, Debbie,
You have the D right. You were close.
Oh my
and the
God.
E at the end. It's very similar name. Come on, Deb.
I think a lot of stuff is mindset.
Yes. It does happen. And you know what? Even experienced agents go through, even when we've been through the time before, it's like we forget about like how it was and and then
You've lost your
with what you're
identity.
doing now. Even experienced agents are going through it. It's like I know the market, right? I mean, the more experienced ones are the ones who have the most listings, and sometimes we're struggling with that as well. With having the right mindset about it first. But if you can be a disruptor in your neighborhood and get the homes priced ahead of the market, it makes a difference. It's our mindsets first, though, when we get in front of the seller.
And when you hang around with this group, it helps you with your mindset.
Yes, it does. Amen. All right,
Hey,
Jeff, I'm gonna let you
Beautiful.
go.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the great turnout today. Thanks for those on Zoom land. I got a bunch of things for you. Number one, there are still 15 or 16 of you that haven't completed your ethics requirement and you're no longer members in good standing with NABOR. Julie and I found that out with her. You have satisfied your ethics requirements by renewing your license. Okay. Unfortunately, NABOR does not recognize that. You must send them a copy of your completion certificate or a screenshot of your DVPR showing that you have completed your ethics requirement. So, unfortunately, December 31st, they wiped out that list. I don't know who's left on the list, but I know Julie tried to go and use forewarn the other day and they told her she wasn't a member in good standing. So Bill Archer, I think you're still on there. There's a number. Did you send your completion certificate to them?
Yep.
Did you get an email back saying you're good?
I talked to Corey or Joan.
You should have gotten an email back in writing saying you're good.
But it's up and working. So Forum was for me, Forum Simplicity and Forewarn both got knocked off. So I sent them the screenshot.
Right.
Now they're both
So you may find that some of your benefits, they did disconnect a couple of agents from MLS and we got that straightened out pretty quickly. But if you haven't sent a copy of your completion certificate, you didn't do your ethics at NABOR, you have to send a copy of your completion certificate to NABOR in order to be a member in good standing. And every 2 years, you have to do that. So if you need any help with that, they say they sent you 11 emails. And they sent me copies of those emails. And a lot of people said I never got anything from them. I don't know how that works because if you're not getting regular emails from NABOR, then they don't have your correct email address, which is fine for all the stuff they send, but it's not good when you have a license or MLS situation.
It looks
So,
like a flyer or an ad. Like when I
It
went
was
in, I
a
can
flyer,
look at
and if
it.
you read the flyer,
Yeah,
it said,
that's right.
please send us a copy of your completion certificate
Yeah.
or a screenshot from DBPR. So I hope all of you will, at some point in time, go on to NABOR and find out if you're in good standing. If you're not, you'll notice it right away. And if you need some help from me, I'll be more than happy to help you. But from now on, forevermore, when you renew your license, take a copy of your completion certificate and send it to NABOR, and you won't have this, but it's gotta be done every 2 years. So does your license. So every 2 years, you have to meet the requirement, whether you go to NABOR and do it, or whether you do it online. So that's one of the things that you need to come up with. Okay, as of today, there's 43 of you that haven't paid your NABOR dues. They're due Monday, or it's $100 reinstatement fee. I'll be sending out a love letter from Broker Jeff and also a text. But I just want to know if there's anybody in the room that hasn't paid their license dues to NABOR. They were invoiced in December, they're due the end of this month, or there's $100 reinstatement fee. So I don't want you to have to pay that. Save the Benjamins, check your, to make sure you paid your dues, okay? I'm gonna whip through the condo addendum fairly quickly here, but I know that I've not had more than 20 people on any of my contract classes this month. The condo addendum changed on January 1st, 2025. The sales contract changed, the listing contract changed, and it all has to do with the fact that the state came out with a bunch of new language that has to be included for every buyer of a condominium. So if you haven't been in any of my classes, I got one tonight at 5 and 7. I've done at least 4 others this month. And I have a sinking feeling that when you're gonna go to write a contract, you're gonna go, what condo addendum? That's always been part of the NABOR contract. So you need to keep up to date on this, because there's a lot of changes and there's more coming, but we've made so many changes since August. You know, you really need to stay up to date. We had, I don't know, 170 people last week at NABOR. I've taught 2 classes at NABOR this month and another 3 or 4 here. So if you're not up to speed, you're gonna have difficulty when you write a contract, and more so now than ever before. So I'm gonna whip through my condo thing real quick so everybody can have a chance. I don't know whether you heard about it, but there were new FCC regulations that were supposed to take effect yesterday. They were supposed to require written permission from anybody to text or communicate with them. That was stopped by a lawsuit. The regs have been postponed for up to a year from going into effect, okay? And I know there's a class from 1:30 to 2:30. Okay, there's also an NAR webinar on the TCPA and how to use the do not call, how to honor the do not call list. I'll have that in my office because I can't put it on in here, but if you want to come in my office, that's a NAR webinar from 2 to 3 on how to use how to interpret the TCPA. I don't know whether you realize it or not, but Keller Williams has paid dearly twice for this. And one of our other teams just paid $60,000 for multiple texting to, and guess what? It was an attorney. Guess who's catching people on this? They're posing as customers, they're attorneys. They tell you they don't want to hear from you again. You keep texting them, and now you're in trouble. So be careful with that, and be careful with saying, well, I've done it this way all these years. You know, there are a lot of people out after you. There's a lot of attorneys always looking for a way to make money. They couldn't make any more money in the insurance business, so now they're onto the do not call list. And I'm serious, it's ugly that people will be such opportunists, but if you're not observing the do not call list, you're texting people that have asked you not to text them, you could run the risk of getting into a lawsuit, and you don't want to really want to do that, okay? So that's all I have. Are there any questions? I'm just going to whip through the condo addendum PowerPoint real quick here, so everybody will at least have some. Go ahead and start it there. I'm going to go quick, so I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I respect your time, but let's make sure that everybody at least has some exposure to the new condominium addendum. You want me to click it, or you want to keep? Go ahead, click. There you go. So the basics, best practices, condominium addendums review, questions and discussion. We've done this, like I said, 4 or 5 times. I just want to run through it here because I have a captive audience. All right, so go ahead. So we'll go through the basics real quick. You need to be able to know if you're writing a contract, listing contract or sales contract, you need to know if it's a condominium. How do you do that? You look at the legal description. Generally in the legal description for most condos, it will say the word condo or condominium. Go ahead, keep clicking. It will not say homeowner association or co-op. You can check the MLS. MLS will have the legal description in it. It will have hopefully a designation that there's condo fees and any assessments, and they'll have uploaded attachments, hopefully, to help you write your sales contract. You can call the management company that's listed in the MLS if you need more specific information from them, or you can, I lost my clicker. You can go to collierclerk.com. I can show you how to do this. You can go to official record search, documents, and declaration, and you can get all those documents yourself if you need to. Next slide. All right, let's talk about condominium considerations. First of all, you need to know the number of stories in the building you're in. Even if there's parking on the first floor and 2 floors above it, that's still a 3-story building. Next, go ahead. If it's 2 stories or less, you do not need a milestone structural inspection. If it's 3 stories or more, next slide, and it was built 30 years ago, effective when this statute came out, one of 2 things can happen here. If it's built 30 years old, as of July 1, 2022, it has to have a milestone structural inspection if it's 3 stories or more. If it's 25 years or older and within 3 miles of the Gulf, depends on where you are. City of Naples requires it. Collier County, unincorporated Collier County does not. So you need to know a little bit if you're doing any kind of a 3-story or more building, you need to know if a milestone structural inspection is required and if it's been done. Here's the kicker that we're having trouble with people realizing. If the condominium of any size, 1 story, 2 story, 20 stories, is more than 10 years old, it has to have a structural integrity reserve study done every 10 years, all right? These are not due until the budgets come out for 2026, but there are many condominiums that will tell you, we do not need one, we're not 3 stories or higher. So we're gonna have to battle that a little bit. But remember, this is all state law. This is all, you do it and you do it right, or you can lose your contract, all right? Additional information that's now required. Remember, we have the 7 documents that are required in the condo receipt. Oh, it's a new condo receipt, and it has as many as 9 documents in it. The budgets for the year have been added. The milestone inspection reports have been added, and the structural integrity reserve studies have been added. Okay, if your buyer is getting ready to buy a condo, they are entitled to see the budget. Hold up on that 1 minute. See the budget. They're entitled to see the summary of the milestone inspection report. Anyhow, they're entitled to see the summary of that, and they're entitled to see the structural reserve integrity studies if they've been done. If they haven't been done, you're going to have an opportunity to say it's required, but they haven't been done. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about the other part of the condominium addendum. Does everybody know Mercado? Okay. Mercado is an example of a multi-parcel building which shares both commercial space down below and residential space above. Okay. And what your buyer needs to know, and if you drive downtown now, you'll see a lot of the older buildings have been plowed down and new buildings have been put up, and there's commercial on the first floor and there's residential above it. Usually those are condos with commercial space. Go ahead. All right, so the common elements of the condo space are limited to and governed by the condominium association. So anything on the 2nd floor and up, and if you go to Mercado and you've ever shown property there, the top floor has a pool, it has a dog walk, it has all kinds of amenities, beautiful clubhouse. That's paid for by the condominium owners as part of their quarterly or monthly fees. Next line there. The commercial portion of the building has nothing to do with condominiums. it has its own governing documents. However, next line. The operating costs of the commercial portion are prorated, and in many cases, the common use of that space, such as the lobby, the elevators, the mailboxes, all that, they are part of the overall operation of that portion. The condominium owners can be asked to share in that cost. So your buyer needs to know, A, they're gonna pay condo fees, B, they're gonna pay some of the cost of operating the first floor. So why are we saying this? Because what you don't want is for them to get their closing statement and say, why didn't you tell me this? So, and part of the condominium addendum, which is the next slide. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, thanks here. See that in a minute. So what are the best practices? What are your takeaways today? The seller is responsible for providing this information. How many go to take a listing and the seller's clueless? They don't read the minutes. They don't know anything that's going on in the building. They don't know a milestone inspection report from a part 3 that they're on there. So you have to be careful because this is a lot like a seller's disclosure, right? We don't participate in the seller's disclosure, and we also don't participate in filling out forms, the condo forms for the seller, right? You might have to assist the seller, you might have to call the association, but the sellers are responsible for providing all the information and paying for it. How many have paid for condo docs? Seller's responsibility now. Go ahead. Listing agent. A good listing agent will get the condominium addendum signed when they're taking the listing, and they'll upload it to MLS. Because would you ask your buyer to sign a blank condominium addendum? So if you're going to write a contract now, you have to remember that the whole guts of the NABOR sales contract have been removed as it relates to Chapter 718, and it's been replaced by a connection to this condominium addendum. So you must have, if you're writing a sales contract, you really need to have the condominium addendum, and it really needs to be completed by the listing agent and either sent to you when you're going to submit the contract or posted on MLS. Next one. The buyer's agent needs to follow the required steps when they're submitting it. Next one. Okay, so you know all the check boxes at the end of the sales contract? Okay, there's a new checkbox there. It says condominium. In order for the condominium addendum to be effective, you check that box and you have the buyer sign the condominium addendum. What happens if you don't do that? The buyer can rescind at any time during the contract. They can have buyer's remorse and they can say, so Sally, Charlie, I'm out of here. You're gonna go, wait a minute. And that means you don't have a connection between your sales contract and your condominium addendum, and it's not signed by all parties. The buyer has an immediate right to rescind at any time. Next. Have the buyer sign the addendum and submit it with the sales contract, okay? It's included in the sales contract, check. You have the addendum filled out by the seller, check. Those go in with your contract. The listing agent hopefully will provide the buyer with all 9 requirements for review. There's a new condo doc receipt. It has all 9 items on there. Go ahead. Budget for the year, milestone inspection report summaries, and structural integrity reserve studies. The buyer has the right to see all of those if they're available. So in the case of the milestone inspection report, they were required to be done by end of last year, but many weren't done because there's so many buildings and not an adequate supply of architects and engineers. So they either had the inspection done or they had to have contracted to have it done sometime this year. All right. So when you inquire with that particular association, they're either going to have the milestone inspection summary for you, or they're going to say, we've contracted for it, hasn't been done yet. Ditto for the structural reserve studies. They're supposed to have those done, but they have a little bit of a window of opportunity till 1/1/26. That's it.
Structural reserve every 10 years. So example, a building that's 9 years old, to have one next year, or they have 10 years from the date this law passed.
10 years from the building was built.
Okay. So obviously, if the building's 20 years old, they need to have one.
Correct. And a lot of the, management companies don't, they're not too familiar with that. I've had people send me articles from the Miami Herald saying it's 3 stories and above and all that, but understand that you're the professional here and you gotta understand these new rules and regs. Stuart?
I was just gonna point out, in case anyone doesn't understand, all this was put in place because of the condo collapse a few years ago in
Miami.
Miami. It was a 6-story building. They kicked the can down the road, didn't have all these, they knew there was a problem, they didn't take care of it.
They had millions of dollars in deferred maintenance. They turned down 7 or 8 special assessments, and they added 14 queen palms around the pool for decoration. The pool was suspended over the parking lot. So there, and everybody noticed that it was leaking into the garage. So there's speculation that eventually the pool collapsed and pulled the building down. That's all. This is a much bigger problem on the East Coast where buildings are much older and the cost of these maintenance and inspections is much higher and people are on fixed income and not able to afford it. So you're seeing a lot of price decreases. Over here, construction's a little better. These buildings are a little bit more luxury oriented. People are able to absorb the cost, but that doesn't mean they don't need to know about it before they submit a sales contract. So you don't want to be in the case of, why didn't you tell me? So you want to make sure they have all this information. So, that's it. You can go to the next slide if you like. So this is the Nabor condominium addendum. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, it's 3 pages. When we do our class, we go over it in detail. But everything you see in boilerplate here is required by the state to have this language in boilerplate, okay? There's a few things in there. These are the parts that the seller fills out. We're talking about the need. Is a milestone inspection required? Has it been done? Is a structural reserve study required? Has it been done? And the third one, if for condominiums that were turned over by the developer after July 1 of 23, the developer now has to file a inspection report that they give to the owners and the buyers entitled to see that. So not that many, but a lot, quite a bit of new construction here in condos. You know, that's going on. I can name a few communities. That when they turn that over to the developer, or from the developer to the owners, they have to provide an inspection report. I don't know how many have been involved in a condo where the developer disappears at the end and there's stuff work that hasn't been completed or there's issues and they take off and the condo has to sue the developer. So that's the intent, is to have these reports and have the owners have some measure of continuity when the transition occurs. There's a few new things down here. Number one, there's still a few buildings around here with right of first refusal. Where do I find that out? Condominium docs. I don't know that there are that many, but some of these buildings down on Gulf Shore, the older buildings still might have a right of first refusal for either the condo association and or any of its owners to buy the property at the price your buyer's offering. So if you don't know that and your buyer makes an offer, that can be kind of embarrassing. Sorry, you can't buy the property because there's a right of first refusal and the condo association decided to buy it. Make sure that's in the condo docs, or possibly the management company will tell you that's something you really need to check. It's not that prolific here. It is more over on the East Coast. The second thing in here, the buyer's able to ask the seller for all of their insurance policy, all their insurance information by signing this, seller signing this addendum. So the buyer has the right to request all of the insurance information by virtue of this agreement being that's something new. All right. And any assessments and fees need to be disclosed.
When you say condominium insurance, you're talking about the building, the association's
All
insurance,
insurance policy.
plus their personal policy.
Right. And that's to satisfy lenders, basically, but it's the lenders.
So you said that the structural inspection is required for all condo buildings, right?
10 years old. Oh,
Okay. So where it says in there that it is or is not required, the only time you would check is not required if it's under 10 years old.
correct.
Okay.
Or there's a slight exemption for single family, duplexes and triplexes less than 3 stories, but don't even worry about that. That's a very small. But the original 3-story requirement was updated in 23 to be all condos over 10 years old. If it's less than 10 years old, not needed. But you're gonna get a lot of them where it's required, but they haven't done it yet. I'll make sure and your buyer needs to know that, because all this is gonna do only one thing that I can figure, do the math. It's gonna increase the cost of owning that condo, right? So we come over here, here's the seller and buyer signing it, making all this part of the contract. And down below, for those of you that have been long seeking a place to put all your condo fees and all your assessments, just like in the FAR bar, you can put that there. You can put the management company information in there. Because we put it below the signature line, it's not binding. So you cannot be hung up by your thumbs if you have a wrong number in there. But everybody, how many of you have been asked to sign a homeowners association disclosure for condo fees? A lot. How many of you? We've seen a lot of FAR Rider A's submitted with neighbor contracts. Well, I had to have someplace to put fees. Great idea. Okay, so a great comment I heard is 2025 is going to be the year of the professional. Right? How many people do you think haven't got a clue about this?
90%.
A lot. So you're going to be dealing in a world where, what's a condominium addendum? What do you mean I have to fill that out? I've never heard of anything like that. You're full of baloney. So I think this is the year of the professionals between the NAR settlement and the addition of these regulations. And we're going to take more than our fair share of the market because we're professional. We're going to serve our buyers and sellers. We're all going to do great. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate the time. Yes.
So on the new listing agreement, that section, it has that in there. What if your sellers have not a clue?
Correct. But in the new listing agreement, these 3 questions are there.
Yes.
The section's been added. If you live in a condominium and lo and behold, that's exactly the same information the seller has to answer in the condominium addendum. So they're inextricably linked. How about that word? Inextricably linked, right? The seller has to know the information in the listing contract and complete the condominium addendum, and I recommend you do it at the same time. Okay?
So with this, do we no longer need the HOA disclosure for a condo?
You never need an HOA disclosure for a condo, never ever. Different statutes. And 720 is HOA, 718 is condos. You never would ever consider using an HOA disclosure for a condo, although people try to do it all the time. Oh, you're walking great. Nice to see you. So, I mean, this stuff is pretty serious, and I've been pretty concerned that many of you have not been to a contract class. Some of you, I've talked a couple at neighbor. I don't know how we're going to get this information out, but it's going to affect every listing contract and every sales contract we write from henceforth. Also, any listing you have now that's active in a condo, what does it have to have? Bingo. So even if you took a listing last year, you still have to add this by law. This information still has to be added to your repertoire. And the more you can upload to MLS, and the more you can say to a buyer's agent that doesn't really know, it's all up there in MLS for you. I upload the whole thing. Declaration of condo, all the information, put it up there, and they're going, oh, how do I get that information? You download it from the MLS, because I already put it there, right? Including the receipt, put it down. All right, so, I mean, I'm a little more stern today than I normally am because I'm very concerned that we are now in day 28 of January, and we haven't really had a lot of participation from the contract classes. So I want you all to know that I've always got your back. I only work on the days that end in Y. Take your text or your call anytime. I want you to be successful. I want you to know this, and I don't want you to have a bad situation with your buyer or lose a buyer in a contract because we haven't followed all these procedures. So keep the questions and texts coming, and I'm here to support you. I got your back, and thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Don't wait till Friday at 9 o'clock to look over this stuff.
Yes.
So, gives you a
I get the
break.
text and then I
Yeah.
pass it over to Brooke, Jeff.
And my wife goes, is that another text about a contract?
Maybe we should stick
Yes,
Debbie on
Steve,
it.
it's
So I think we're moving on to Jordan, but before we do, I just had something that I thought about. That I wanted to talk to you guys about very quickly. Hannah's coming up next. It's back to social media. We posted, I showed you something earlier that we should be posting, but that reminds me that through social media, we should all be supporting each other, right? So it's important for us as a group, as a team, as a family, to, when we see some of the wins that people have, or whatever it is, maybe it's not always just real estate, that we also respond to that and share and like and make a comment when you can and support all of us, support each other as we do that, because we're looking for it. Sometimes I have to text my mom and be like, "Mom, can you please at least like my post?" You know, it's like I got nobody liking it, but.
Eugene's mom tries to enter our private Facebook group. Somebody needs to take Facebook away from her.
Facebook group.
I know you.
All right, was Hannah, were you gonna speak next, or are you passing it off to Jordan?
I'm passing it off to Jordis.
Okay,
Please.
Jordan.
No pressure. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. Well, I got a couple things I want to hit with everybody. I'll hit the first one and the more obvious one. I am not in the office with you right now. Did you guys notice that?
No.
All right. I'm in the other room. I'm doing a Zoom call from the other room. I'm kidding. So I'm working from home today. But I wanted to, Gina and I talked this morning. I wanted to take this opportunity now to kind of explain to you guys why I'm working from home a couple of days a week. Some of you I've already had the chance to talk to about it. I'll keep it short, bullet points. So as you guys know, I have my daughter, 11 years old, and I have two younger boys. One's going to be 2 and one is 4 months old. My wife just started working again, and therefore we need to have somebody to watch the boys. So while my wife works, she's in retail, we are kind of swapping schedules, right? So if I'm in the office in the morning, she's at night at work. So I come home a little bit earlier and vice versa. So anywhere between 2 or 3 days a week, you may see me either leave early or just be working from home, getting all of my work completed. And those that come by my office often, you probably see I'm glued to my screen. Now I have 3 massive screens that I'm glued to here at home. So I say that because I want you to know, and I want you to have confidence that whatever you need, I am here for. Eugene, Hannah can let you know, Jeff can let you know when they call me. I'm still here. It's nothing's gonna miss a beat. So whether it's DAs responding to your emails, etc., I'm here. Call me, text me. But that is the reason why you don't see me in the office the 5 days a week as you're used to seeing. So wanted to kind of just make it more publicly known. So it is a good thing, by the way. My wife will spend 2 years not working, taking care of the boys, the first one. And it's interesting because now I know what she dealt with. It's not easy. It's not easy being at home with little ones and I'm trying to work on top of that. So I'm doing my best. Thank you. Any questions about that? Or
You're a rock star, Jordis. Just want you to know that it's awesome that you can do this for your kids, and I fully support it. And thanks for just kind of letting us know. But I know that you're working your tail off, and kudos to you, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, this computer does not shut off. I'm on it like literally all day, every day, just getting things done and making sure that nothing ever does fall behind. So I appreciate you guys. Love you. So that's the personal stuff I want to get out of the way. I wanted to show you 3 things. So let's do the first one, Hannah, if you want to just go to the next slide real quick for me. You guys should have seen an email go through and a Facebook post. Is there a slide next, Hannah? Yeah. I'm just not seeing it. Oh, there we go. So you should have seen a link to this, but you have the opportunity. You can scan the barcode here. So it's that time of the year where we're starting to celebrate agents for 2023. So we're going to have our awards ceremony coming up in March. If you want to pencil this date in for right now, March 5th, if you want to pencil that in, March 5th, 9 to 1, that's what we're looking at. In preparation for that, we need your vote. So there's 2 peer awards that we do every single year. One is the Culture Award, and the next one is the Spirit Award. There's a brief description right there of what it is. And when you click on the link, you'll see the full description right there. So don't worry if you can't read the entire thing right now. This is a peer voted on award. So, and no leaders, you can't vote on leaders. So this is really amongst you guys to, again, just call out your peers and recognize them either for spirit or culture. We have two of our winners in the room right now. I think I see both of them on camera from last year. So congrats, Bill and Doreen. You guys were the winners of these two awards this year. So if you don't, I'll leave the barcode up because actually, well, take a picture if you guys need a picture because I'm actually going to do a screen share in a second. So I'm going to take the barcode away. Anybody that needs to do the barcode, I see one phone up. I see a second phone up.
Okay with that, I'm just saying.
What was that?
Don't be afraid to vote for me again, I'm okay with that.
I'm not voting for you. Welcome back.
I miss you too.
Welcome back. All right, I should be able to see. Let's see. I'm gonna take over the screen here, Hannah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me know when you guys can see my screen. Should see an Excel sheet. Let me know.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. Interesting. It says I'm sharing.
I see it, but they can't see.
What do you see?
Oh.
Hold on a second.
Oh, okay, I got it,
There you
got it.
Now you see it?
I just
Yep.
helped her with the PowerPoint
Thanks.
stuff, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You helped with tech related issue?
Yes.
Okay, I'm dealing with like 3 screens right now.
That's a little bit of a shocker. I am impressed right now. All right. So the first tool I want to show you guys. So there's been a lot of, hey, who can do an open house this weekend? Hey, who do you know that's wanting to do open houses? Hey, I have an open house this weekend. Or any variation combination of that phrase. So we want to make a tool for you guys that is going to be agent led, meaning the agents have to utilize it in order for the tool to work. So high level overview of what the tool is. First tab is going to be a README section. It's locked. You can't change anything here. These are going to be rules that you must follow, not only when using the sheet, but then rules also for hosting an open house. So the first tab is really about how to utilize the sheet. Second tab is going to be about rules, some do's and don'ts about hosting open houses for other agents. This can change. So what I mean by that is I got it at a starting point, but if you guys feel like there's a do or don't that should be added to that, just shoot me a quick text or an email and I can add it on there. I think some of the obvious ones are on there, like maybe, you know, don't be jumping in the pool or having your family hanging out in the pool area while you're hosting an open house at a house that's not yours. Probably not a good idea. So if you need me to add that on there, though, I absolutely will. So again, first tab, README section, how to use the tool. Second section, rules. The third tab is going to be where listing agents, you're going to go on here and this scrolls up and down. The top one is frozen, so you can see an example of what it should look like when it's filled out. Address, MLS ID, the open house date that you're looking to fill, and the time that you're hopefully looking to fill. Or what I would do there is in a community where maybe there's restrictions, like it has to be between 1 and 4, I would probably put 1 and 4. If it's a non-gated area and you can do it between 9 and 5 if you choose to, put 9 to 5 or just put open. But what time are you looking to fill? Who the listing agent is, and then available agent. This is where now I can say, hey, thanks, Bill. I love that listing and I'm available at that time and I can take that slot. And then a note section for any general notes, whether it's from the agent who posted the listing and or the agent who is signing up. What I would say here is we all have to be adults. We all have to be responsible. We all have to make sure we keep it up to date. Don't override people's names. So if I sign up for a listing and I come on, or I'm looking for a listing, I see Eugene signed up for 123 Main Street. Don't delete Eugene's name. Maybe I would go to the notes section and say, hey, I can take the next one if available. But instead, what I would do if I were you, I would go to the fourth tab. And the fourth tab, this is for the agents to say, hey, I'm available for listings for open houses. So here's my name, my phone number, my email. Here are the dates that I'm available, the times I'm available, and the areas maybe I prefer to do open houses in. And if you have any general notes, because then I, as the listing agent, can go on the spreadsheet and look and say, hey, I have an emergency and this open house is like tomorrow morning. It's 8 p.m. at night. So instead of reaching out to Eugene, who probably is gonna be grumpy because he's not eating a lot of food right now, so he's probably not in a good mood. You can just go on here and see who said that they were available and call them, shoot them a text, give them a phone call, whatever the case may be. So this is a working document. We literally just started it. We don't know if this is the perfect columns or if this is exactly how it's going to end up. The goal here is just to provide a resource to you guys that you can use amongst each other to make open houses a little bit smoother, hopefully. Thoughts or questions?
Jordan, where does that document live?
Great question. So eventually it is going to live in the which is where I'm going to go next, KWNaplesAgents.com. I want you guys to go on your phones and bookmark that. When you're on your computer, bookmark it, KWNaplesAgents.com. There's a lot of questions that get brought up, which I'll mention one in a second, which can be easily answered when you go to KWNaplesAgents.com. I forgot it. What is it again?
KWNaplesAgents.com.
There we go. KWNaplesAgents.com. Good job. You didn't miss anything, Doreen. Look at that.
No, still here.
You still got it. That is where it's gonna live, but full transparency, I got to learn how to use the back end of this website and learn how to modify it. And somebody else was managing that before. I'm gonna take it over and do some of that. So in the meantime, what we're gonna do is, you guys can still see my stuff, right?
Yep.
Please don't that comes up. Okay. Hey, Allison, nice. Give her a jingle. All right, why is this not loading? Okay. Why am I hearing myself twice now? Can you guys hear an echo?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to mute. Now it is. It was Melissa. Melissa, shame on you. I fixed it. All right. So in the feature, so on Facebook. So if you're not on Facebook, guys, get on Facebook. I mean, it's 2025. I don't know who doesn't have Facebook right now. So all of you should have Facebook. And if you don't, go make one. If you do and you're not on our private page, go to the private page, join. This is where you can also find one of the places where you can find the calendar. So up here on features, I already pinned up the February calendar. Once the month's over, I'm going to pin down the January calendar. So that's one spot you can find it. And it's also where you're going to find this open house form. So I'm going to link it up here. I wanted to show it to you first before I did it so that you guys know what it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this portion of the recording of the team meeting and make it its own little video so that we can share it out to others who did not join us today so that they know how to utilize the form. But it's going to be up here. Eventually, it will be on what website, Doreen?
KWNaplesAgents.com.
Awesome. And then while we're there, this is the last piece I have for you guys before I let you go. KWNaplesAgents.com. I can never say it enough. On the front page, the moment you log on, guess what you find? Our calendar. So if you are uncertain what's coming up, you can't jump on Facebook right now, but maybe you can go to the website, or hey, you need the Zoom link for the team meeting that's happening right now. Hey, you need the Zoom link for Amber's call that she's going to be starting in 6 minutes. So we got to start wrapping up, which is actually this same link anyways. This is where you would go. So today, when I was getting ready to jump on here, I just went to KWNaplesAgents.com, went to today's date, and I copied the Zoom link. And that took me right to the training and where I'm supposed to be. So if it's a training that's available via Zoom, jump to the calendar here and you will find the link there. For whatever reason you don't find it, I am human, I've made mistakes, just let me know. Shoot me a text or Hannah. Hannah can fix it too. So
Can you make a jingle for the website, please?
you want me to make a jingle?
Yep. Not right now. Get back to us.
I'm just gonna move up the list on priorities. I will make a jingle for you. I really don't know if I can do that. So that is it, guys. That's all I have. Thank you. Eugene back in the room?
Nope.
We're done with him.
We're done with him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we're done with Eugene. Thank you guys for your time. And again, thank you for the Katie. And I know others probably would have echoed what Katie said. Appreciate you guys. When I think about our culture, I'll tell you what, if I was at any other company right now, I don't think I would have a job, because the moment I tell them I need to work a couple of days from home and be a little bit more hybrid, they probably would Take me down
We
the road.
love you, Jonas.
So it's God, family, then business is why I love where I am. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'll see y'all that are going to be on the 2:30 or 1:30 call with Amber here in a little bit. You can stay right in the room too if you like.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, guys.
We miss you.
Doreen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Like I'm seeing a ghost. I haven't seen it in like a week.
I know.
Yeah, I have. It's so quiet and not No. Just like, I'm used to more traffic, you know?